Hello. The Divine Code reading for September 30th, pages 229 and 230. We're in the chapter Objects Offered to Idols and Decorations for Idols. Topic number 8. If an idol is customarily served by breaking or waving a stick before it, and a person broke a stick before it, this action defines the broken stick as an offered item. This is because a stick is a significant item for this idol, and breaking a stick is comparable to slaughter. But if a stick is not customarily used in the rituals of the idol, it does not become forbidden, for since the stick is not a significant item for it, its breaking is not considered anything. Likewise, for an idol whose ritual is customarily performed with urine, if one poured urine before it, it is forbidden for benefit as an offered item. See topic 3:17 above. That's the topic on actions which make one prohibited. Actions which make one liable for idol worship. It's a long chapter, goes into a lot of details about basically the parallel to this. Regard to pouring urine, there is no concept of forbidden pouring of this substance unless the idol was customarily served in this fashion, using urine in any other sort of way. If this is the customary ritual, then it is a significant service for the idol, and therefore it's classified as pouring a libation. So, there's a wide variety of objects that exist in this world. It was already taught on the reading 2 days ago that the objects that are used in the Holy Temple, if those objects are used before an idol, the objects become forbidden for benefit. Here we're learning that if the object is used before the idol in some other manner, if it's an object that's not used in the Holy Temple and it's used before the idol in some other manner besides the way it's being used in a specific case, if the way it's being used in the specific case is similar to, and it's a whole halakhic argument as to what is considered similar to, one of the 3 ways that objects were used in the Holy Temple. That would be slaughtering, libation, or burning. That's the 3 ways that objects are used in the Holy Temple. If an object that is of significant value to the idol, that means that it's used in some manner for the idol. If that object is used in a manner similar to, either in the way of or similar to the way of how objects were used in the Holy Temple, that makes the object forbidden for benefit. That would be such as breaking a stick. If the person usually waves a stick in front of an idol, that's the normal method of service. Therefore, the stick becomes significant to that idol. Then if the stick is used in a way that's not normal for that idol, for a stick to be used, but it is similar to one of the 3 items in the temple, that would be if the stick were broken, such as slaughtering, or if it was burned, which would be similar to incense, or if it's a very rotten stick, I suppose it could be thrown and it might splatter if it's like mushy rotten. If it's done in a manner similar to one of those three, then the object, in this case a stick, is considered forbidden for benefit. Topic number 9. Vessels or clothes and the like, which are items that were not brought upon the altar of the holy temple, are forbidden for benefit if they are merely brought, are not forbidden for benefit if they are merely brought or thrown before the idol. Therefore, if they are merely set down before an idol for its sake, they are permitted for benefit. But if it is unknown how they were used to serve the idol, it is assumed that they are decorations for the idol, which makes them forbidden for benefit. So clothing in that, or vessels, that would be just containers or any sort of miscellaneous object. If it's simply brought before the idol, that would not mean that it's forbidden for benefit, because it's not one of the objects that are used in the holy temple, and it's not in a method of service that was used in the holy temple. However, there might be the vessels or the clothing might be used for decorative purposes, or they might be used in the service of the idol. For example, a vessel could be used to carry the wine libation or something like that. In that case, the clothing or the or the vessels might be forbidden for benefit. Sishokan Aruch Yoreh De'ah, chapter 139. If we don't know what they're used for, if we come across an idol and there's a clothing and vessels around the idol, if we don't know what it's used for, then it's assumed that they're used for the purpose of the idol, for decorative purposes or for service of the idol, and that would make them forbidden for benefit. But if one tears clothes or breaks a vessel as a service to the idol, this is comparable to breaking a stick. And if this idol's ritual was with any such service with clothes or vessels, this resembles slaughtering. Likewise, any burning of clothes is comparable to burning on the altar. So again, just like the other was stated before, if something is done with these items that are done in service of the idol. So if a person tears the clothes or burns the clothes or breaks or burns the vessel in service of the idol, that makes it forbidden because it was a method similar to what was done in the Holy Temple. Topic number 10. Clothes, vessels, or money found discarded in an irreverent manner on top of an idol are permitted for benefit. But if they have been placed there in a relevant manner, in a reverent manner, they are forbidden for benefit because they are decorations for idolatry. How so? If, for example, one found a pouch suspended by a rope hanging from the idol, or a folded garment on its head, or a vessel upside down on its head, then one may use them, for they have been placed there in an irreverent manner. This applies in similar situations. On the other hand, if one found on the head of an idol something of a type that was offered on the altar in the holy temple, this is forbidden for benefit, even if it was placed there in an irreverent manner. So if it's something, if they have clothing and they just place the clothing on top of the idol but not in a proper manner, that clothing would not be considered a decoration for the idol. It's done in a sloppy manner. If it's done in a neat manner, then that would be considered a decoration. And it may vary between different idols as to what's considered respectable for that idol. But if it's done properly, that would be considered a decoration and forbidden. Otherwise, it would not be considered forbidden for benefit. Unless it's one of the list of items that were used in the Holy Temple. The various animals that would be used in the Holy Temple: oil, wine, flour, bread, water, salt, blood, wheat sheaves, or grapes. So I suppose if someone took a clump of grapes and put on the head of the idol, even though that's done in an irreverent manner, but because it's one of the items used in the Holy Temple, that would make it forbidden for benefit. Rambam, The Laws of the Worship of Stars and Idols, Chapter 7, Shulchan Aruch. Yoreh De'ah, Chapter 139. The later ruling is unclear because the reason it is forbidden, even though it was placed on the idol's head in an irreverent manner, is because it has already been offered, and the status can never be annulled. So if it had already been offered, because the grapes had already been offered, then placing it on top of the idol's head would not annul the status of the grapes. However, in regard to Gentiles, for whom an offered item can be nullified, like other idol worship, its ruling should be as a decoration that becomes nullified, though through its use in an irreverent manner. It is possible, though, that even though they were nullified, others may not eat them, since one who eats an offered food shows that he recognizes the idol, and their nullification only allows one to benefit from them in other ways, such as selling it. So this is where there's a little difference between the Jewish and between the way that these things apply to a Jew and to a Gentile. A Gentile can nullify an idol. A Jew is not able to nullify an idol. Similarly, it's possible for a Gentile to nullify the status of an object that was offered to an idol. But it has to be done in a way that he's not showing respect for the idol. So if it's a consecrated food item, he can't eat the item, because that's the way the service of the idol would usually operate anyway. Therefore, he would have to do something else with it. After he's nullified it, he can then sell it, and supposedly somebody else can eat it because there's an extra degree of separation from the idolatry. For the person who buys it at the marketplace, they're not connected with the idol, with the object's connection with idolatry. Unless he's selling it as a consecrated item, then the person who buys it as a consecrated item. But assumably, he's just selling it as part of the general stuff sold at a marketplace, and by then it's lost its status as being connected with the idol. Topic number 11. Any item that is forbidden when it is offered to an idol, if found outside of a house of idol worship, or before an idol, or in its enclosed area, whether it is arranged in an irreverent manner or not, is forbidden for use. So if it's found within the confines of the area of idolatry, the object is considered, after it had been offered to the idol, the object is considered it's considered forbidden for benefit. If one finds something of this nature outside of these areas in the nearby vicinity, and it is found to be in a relevant condition and appears to be a decoration for the idol, it is forbidden. If not, it is permitted. So if it's in the area around the, if it's on the outskirts, just outside the building, or somewhere around the building, but it's not in the building, but it's being handled in a respectful manner, it's treated properly, then it's still connected with the idol worship, and it would be forbidden for benefit. If it's been discarded, it's thrown in the trash heap outside of the house of idol worship, then it would be considered nullified, and it would be permitted for benefit. This applies to all idols that are served in a reverent manner. But anything that might be offered to the idols of Peor or Mercilus, if found outside or just outside their temples, it is forbidden for benefit. Or if found inside or just outside their temples, it's considered forbidden. It is forbidden for benefit. This is because they are customarily served irreverently, and those who worship them are not careful to place their offerings in a reverent manner. So it depends upon the idol, upon how the idol is normally served. Most idols would want their, to be most worshipers of most idols would want their things associated with the idol be treated in a respectful manner. It might be on a nice shelf or a box or something. It's treated in a proper manner, and even if it's on the outside of the building, it's treated in a proper manner. Some idols are worshipped in an incredibly sloppy manner, in a irreverent manner. That the irreverence becomes the method of worship. And in those cases, that would actually be considered proper for it to be discarded in the trash heap. It may still be part of the idol worship at that point, and therefore those objects offered to those items found in a disrespectful manner might still have the status of being prohibited for benefit. Topic number 12. Wax candles. Tosafot, Rosh, and Ron on Tractate of Avodah Zarah 50. Tor and Shulchan Aruch, chapter 139. It is unclear if they specified wax as opposed to fat, as candles are generally made of fat as well. That would be in the day that they were writing these things. You didn't go down to the regular store and just buy a box of candles. They made the candles, or somebody in the town would make the candles. They used whatever was available. They didn't have mass transportation like today. They used whatever was available, and to make their candles. So they may be made out of wax, they may be made out of rendered animal fat, or whatever they could use. And their intention is to show that fat of the types of items that were burned on that fat is of the types of items that were burned on the altar of the holy temple, so that it also considered as an item that was forbidden when placed before an idol. So if the sages are the rabbis who are explaining these things from years ago, if they were concerned about candles that were made of fat, fat is one of the items that were used in the holy temple, burned on the holy temple, offered. Therefore, it's on the list. So it's not specifically on the list. So maybe it's fat that's used of animals that were the animals used in the holy temple. So maybe walrus fat would not be part of the list, or it's not totally clear what kind of wax or what kind of candles they're speaking of, but that's a possibility that they're speaking of candles that were made with material that would be used on the holy temple. However, it appears that even a candle made from fat, since it is intended for decoration, is not considered as an offered item, and its nullification is effective even for a Jew. This is clear from Rambam, Laws of the Worship of Stars and Idols, 7:15, and Shulchan Aruch Yoreh De'ah, 139:3. The candles would need to be brought as an actual offering before the idol to obtain the status. Otherwise, they are not forbidden for benefit from. So if the candles are offered for the service of the idol, it's part of the ritual service of the idol to bring candles before it. That would be considered, that would put the candles in a more stricter status. If it's used for decorations, it's on a less strict status, and it could be easier to have it nullified. So you'd have to know whether or not that particular idol has a candle offered as a part of its ritual. The person comes before the idol and with a candle, and that candle has a significant ritual significance to that idol, or if they just light candles around it because it looks pretty. If they light candles around because it looks pretty and it's not part of the ritual service, then it's considered a decoration, and therefore it would not, even if it used the animal fat of a similar type to what would be used in the temple, that would not be considered an offering before the idol. And therefore it's easier to nullify its status. Wax candles that are lit before an idol for its decoration are forbidden for benefit. Shulchan Aruch Yoreh De'ah 139. If the idol's priest put out the candles in order to sell them, they have already nullified them. This is apparent from the word of Shulchan Aruch Yoreh De'ah 139. Since he put them out for his own sake, meaning for the sake of the priest, from which we see he has already nullified them. The same applies even if he sold them to others, and not specifically to a Jew. This is also implied from Tosafot on Tractate of Avodah Zarah 50a and Ron there. So if he's putting them out, it's the end of the service. They're no longer needed for decoration. He's going to put them out, and he's going to use them himself. He's going to sell them. He's going to give them, whatever he's going to do with candles have value in and of their own self. People back then people would buy them for light, light up their house and that, and yeah, so he was just going to use them for a mundane purpose. Now, if he's going to turn around and sell them on the marketplace and say these are candles that were used in such and such idol's place, that might be a concern. But we're assuming he's just going to sell them as candles, then it would be considered permitted. He's got a nice way of laundering off. He's laundering money that was donated to the temple. They buy candles and then he uses them once. He sells them. He puts them out, then he sells them, and he pockets the difference. He's got a nice thing going. So in that case, the candles would be permitted to use. But if the candles went out by themselves, they have not become nullified. If the priest sold the candles to non-worshippers, they have nullified them. So the priest, the wind blows, wind comes through and it blows out the candle, and it wasn't done on purpose, then it would still have the status of a decoration. But if the priest turns around, takes the candles, he's not really paying attention to it, he just puts out the 5 candles that were still lit and the other 5 candles that blew out by the wind, he throws them in a box, he sells them. It doesn't matter. If he sells them to people that were not the idol worshippers, then he's nullified the status. Pieces of wax that have been placed before an idol, that is, they are designated for the idol's temple to make into candles, are permitted for benefit, since they are neither decorations nor offered items, and there is no process of sanctifying for idolatry. So that they have it in the storage room. They have a bunch of scrap wax. I mean, that was normal back in those days. They would have chunks of wax that were processed, and the wax would be melted down and formed into a candle. If that box at that point, it had not been offered, it had not been, it's just in the storage room, waiting to be used, that would be permitted for benefit at that stage. This applies to those who dedicate wax to make candles from it, and there's no sanctification for an idol. However, if it was part of their worship ritual to place pieces of wax before the idol as a decoration, or for their scent, they are forbidden as a decoration, like a rose or myrtle that was used for this purpose. And this, they'll go into more detail in tomorrow's reading. So if it's just wax in the storeroom, that'll be permitted for benefit. If it's wax that's been put out in some kind of a, it's considered decoration, or the scent, the smell of the scent is nice, that would be considered forbidden at that stage. Thank you.